flex. Talk to me. James Maddison, 40. Sounds cheap, doesn't it? Really think about it.
Yeah,
for a guy that I looked at his goal scoring record in that number 10, in the midfield on the left for Leicester. I mean, he scores double-digit goals, or he has for the last 3 seasons.
Yeah.
In a struggling Leicester side. Good player.
Very good player. Very good player. I think this is the perfect move for him. And if I look at, I know some people have said, oh, other teams in the top 6, why couldn't he go there? I think Spurs is the perfect team for him. Manchester City
over Newcastle.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so, because Newcastle don't play with an out-and-out 10, and they play with 3 workhorses in there. And I know they went in for him in January, but I think the fact that they've changed their philosophy to look at Sandro Tonali now, and they were looking at Barella, that shows you that's a bit more grit. They get about the pitch. Yeah. James Maddison is not a 6, doesn't really play in the midfield 3. Even Leicester, when they were going for a tough time, started playing him out on the left because they needed the legs in there. At Manchester,
if he had the option, to go Newcastle or Spurs, and we don't know, has he made the right choice?
The project at Newcastle looks more attractive with what they've built in such a short space of time. Already, got to a cup final, or cup final against Manchester United. And now they've got Champions League football within a year and a half, which is insane. But I just feel like if you look at Madders, he's technically gifted, gets on the ball, gets on a half turn, got good feet.
Such a Spurs player.
He's a Spurs player, and he's somebody that Spurs have been crying out for. Spurs have got a lot of industrial midfielders. People like Skip can run around a little bit. Højbjerg can run around a little bit. Bissouma. Bentancur keeps things ticking over, but he's quite limited in terms of creating cut-edge passes between the lines, and James Maddison will give you that. So I think this is a perfect move. And the fact that he's going to Spurs at a time when there's going to be a lot of change there. Under Conte, James Maddison can't play for them. With a back 5 and a couple of midfield, it's not going to work. It needs to be with a front foot attacking manager who's going to change the philosophy and the ethos. And I think they're going to have to play with a 10. I'm not sure about James Maddison.
It's going to be interesting. No, I think, look, it gives you 2 options. He either does the 10, and Postecoglou's obviously going to come in and fix things up. So he either does the 10 or he does the left of the front 3. And you don't
get the best out of Maddison.
You don't get the best, but considering how bad Son was last season, Son's now going to know that if he continues to have those type of games for us, then we'll just go Maddison, Kane, Richarlison, or Maddison, Kane, Kulusevski. They've got options now in all the front areas.
It's about balance now.
Yeah.
It's about balance. With someone like Maddison, I think you need 2 solid workhorses behind him who can allow him to go and play. I think he's like the icing on the cake type of player. He's not going to put in hard mileage and play at a big intensity like how City want to play. Yeah. He's never going to play instead of Odegaard. At Manchester United, some Man United fans may say they would like him when Bruno's not on it, but for me, he's not going to play instead of Bruno. He's not going to put up those type of numbers. So I think Chelsea, under Poch, you never know. That maybe could have worked. Again, change the system. But a team needs to play a 10 to have him. Yeah, and I think it's a great move. And as I mentioned, Spurs' second signing of the window so far. Let's not forget they got Vicario in from Empoli for around £17 million. James Maddison, we're hearing a fee of around £40 million. I think that's perfect. And so, that's perfect. And you normally say the English tax on players. Yeah. But there is no tax here. James Maddison, I think, is a £40 million. But they lost, and also Leicester lost their power with that English tax because they've gone down. Yeah, that's true. Maddison so still Leicester up, cost you 70. Maddison gone down, exactly. 40. Let's welcome in Jack, the Spurs fan. Jack, talk to us about this one. We're still confused about maybe where he plays for Spurs. Obviously, you watch them week in, week out. Postecoglou's probably going to come in and change it. Is it Maddison in a 10? Is it Maddison on the left from the front 3? Where does he play?
Yeah, I think he plays number 10, guys. I think he's a brilliant signing. I really do. I think in today's inflated market for 40 million for a player who last season got 10 goals, 9 assists, previous season 12 goals, 8 assists, I think it's an absolute steal. Someone that we a type of player we've been crying out for years. And definitely. When we've had Conte, we've had Mourinho, such negative football. It's the first time for years I thought maybe I might not renew my season ticket because it's just dry watching Spurs. It's the type of player we need to come back, bring back the glory days to Tottenham and exciting football. What
does this do for Kane? We've seen Kane over the last couple of years play 2 positions, right? Plays as a number 9, plays as a 10 himself. almost, we've seen Kane score goals and assist as well, right? He breaks the record in Premier League for assists, doesn't he? What do you think this does for him now? Do you think it's a different Kane we're going to see? A Kane that almost just now stays in the penalty box area? What does Kane do?
Yeah, look, there's two ways to look at Harry Kane with this signing. We saw it with Rooney a few years ago when he played for United. He kept dropping back as he got older, as he sort of lost a bit of pace and couldn't keep up with the pace of the game. Some Spurs fans think that he's started to do that, and you can kind of see why, because his passing ability is unbelievable. But with Maddison there's two sides to look at. He's either leaving and we're going to get a replacement for Kane, or Kane's looking at rubbing his hands together thinking, got 30 goals, on average 20 plus goals per season. This year it could be at 30, 35. He might be challenging Haaland for the Golden Boot. So, it could be a great signing for him as well. And he might think, okay, well, Spurs mean business now, and I'll stick around for another year, maybe sign a new contract. Let's see.
Jack, how transformative is he? Is he a transformational player on his own, or does he need players behind him in the midfield? Does that balance need to be spot on? Or do you think James Maddison is transformational in this Spurs side just as he is?
Yeah, look, I think he is. I think Spurs' biggest problems always for the last couple of seasons has been defence. It's always so shaky. So I think, we're crying out for two really strong players, a strong centre-back and a number 10 like Maddison, who can come in, feed the ball for an eye of a needle like Eriksen used to do week in, week out. I think there's a bit of difference in Eriksen and Maddison. When we had Eriksen, he was always more of an assist player, not getting as many goals as Maddison does for Leicester. And to add that in there, it takes a bit of pressure off people like Son, who hasn't been great this year. Kuvalevsky, who came back from injury, looks like he's a bit withdrawn as a player, doesn't want to, make them sort of runs and get involved as much as he did before. And then Kane as well, he's been carrying the team for the last 2-3 seasons. So, yeah, I think that it gives them all a bit of confidence to be able to go there and play the way they want to play as well. Yeah,
so look, you've ticked the box in goal. You've got your creative midfielder, number 10, that you've been crying out for, as you mentioned, since Eriksen left. What next? The defence needs clearing up, does it? I mean, you could literally go from all across the defence, by the way, all 4 positions. You can't obviously change everything at once. What's the priority?
Yeah, look, I think, as a Spurs fan, I think Hugo Lloris used to get a lot of stick from Spurs fans for the silly mistakes he made. But you look at the defence and the amount of shots he was facing, it was incredible. And he did make some good saves. So I think we need a solid centre-back, a left-footed centre-back that we've needed for quite some time. We've got the wing-backs, but we don't seem to have the right system for these wing-backs to come in and play. So, Porro looks amazing, attacking, but defensive, not very good. So trying to find that system where them sort of players can fit in, or start shipping out some of the deadwood like Royale. We're waiting for him to come good. One of the things that was frustrating as a Tottenham fan was when we bought Lamela and we bought all them sort of players that came with Lamela. Lamela was the one that everyone said, "Oh, give him another year, it'll become good. It'll become good." And we've got to learn from them sort of mistakes. If someone's not doing it, give them 2-3 seasons, settle in, change of culture, change of language, things like that. But we can't be having these players around for 8-9 years and thinking, yeah, they're on the bench, they're coming on for 10 minutes, that they might do it. And that's the thing that we need to find, is that player that can come and hit the ground running. And I think Maddison's one of them players because he's done it for years in the Premier League. We need to find a centre back that has done it for years in the Premier League, that can come in and just slot right in and hit the ground running.
Yeah, Flex is saying Maguire. Get Maguire, he said. even Flex laughs at that. Jack, really appreciate it coming on, mate. Thank you very, very much. Look, so many people have questioned how Ange Postecoglou is going to set up this new Spurs team. Let's welcome in someone that has been watching Celtic under Ange Postecoglou, David, the Celtic fan. David, a couple of things first. Postecoglou is a manager. A lot of people maybe don't know too much about him, having not watched the Scottish Premier League or his time in Australia. What type of manager is he, and what do you think he's going to get out of Maddison?
Well, for starters, Postecoglou is he's not just a great coach. He's a leader, an absolute leader. And what you get from him is I don't want to put him in, say, BeIN or Alex Ferguson. He's a real figurehead for the club. He'll unite the whole club. And what I would say, he's a fantastic tactician. The only negative he had Celtic was he does not have a plan B. He will just go all out attack. He plays the traditional 4-3-3. He'll play he'll play obviously flat back 4, 3 in midfield, 3 attacking, one up top. But what he insists, I think he'll play Maddison either wide left, wide right. I don't think he'll play him through the middle. He doesn't have the work rate. Postecoglou demands his 3 midfielders to be dynamic. Traditionally, he's never had a sitting midfielder. That may have to change, obviously, because he's now in the Premiership. He might have to have a player sitting deep, but he's used to playing 3 dynamic midfielders. He'll play the flat back 4, inverted wing backs. You'll have one that sits in midfield, and the other 2 in midfield will push wide, which means that the wide players are the 2 wide in the front 3. They'll push in. The inverted fullbacks, they push up. 2 of the 3 midfield will push wide, and the wingers will push in. I would expect Maddison to sort of have a role, probably either wide left, wide right. I don't think he's got the work ethic to sort of. Postecoglou always says we defend from the front. I wouldn't expect him to be playing in the midfield 3. I just don't think that he will have the legs to sort of constantly work back to front.
Interesting. David, really appreciate your call. Thank you very much. As he's saying, I'm trying to write it down. So that's 4 there. There's inverted
he's going to push
wingers.
in. He's going to push out.
Come in. I'm like, what is that? He's going to drop 12 players I just counted? But no, really appreciate to get that insight. All right, look, we want more of your calls on Maddison. 03717 2233 44.